My feeling is this: you can absolutely have a strictly platonic relationship with a man. New year about to start in 2026, and I thought it would be fun to close out the year with a question that I always get asked. Can men and women really be friends? I think that is a loaded topic, and I think you and I are the perfect people to talk about it because number one, we've talked about this. I have a lot more great guy friends than I have female friends too. It's not like it's just one or the other, but I love my guy friends. Absolutely adore my guy friends, and Josh is one of those. and and you, Josh, have a lot of female friends. So it's really interesting how we're very similar in that way. So I think you and I are the perfect people to talk about this topic because I've heard lots of people say it's impossible to have a friendship with a guy that's just platonic. And yet I have had that many, many times. Sometimes it's gone from platonic to something else, though, too. I'm not going to lie, because that's the reality of it. The hard part, I think, is that there are so many layers to this. So you can have, so I'll just tell you my take and then I want to hear yours. So my feeling is this: you can absolutely have a strictly platonic relationship with a man. Now, where it can get complicated is if there's attraction. Now, just because there's attraction doesn't mean something physical has to happen. You can just actually admit the attraction and know that it's not going anywhere. Or you can admit the attraction, have it go somewhere, and then still be friends. I've had all of those happen. So, what's your take on that?
Well, I mean, it's not really far off from yours. It takes a different to be able to be friends with a woman. And look, I will admit, because I've primarily been friends with women my entire life, and there was a reason for that growing up. I've mainly felt safe with women. I didn't
Mm,
feel safe around men for a long time.
mm,
And we don't need to dive into all my past. It's all out there, and we've talked about it on the show. But I just never felt safe around men, so I was naturally drawn to being friends with females. So for me, that's always been a natural thing. But it's very, very rare, admittedly, that at some point that friendship line gets sketchy. Because when you do feel safe, when people feel safe and they feel comfortable, they drop their walls, then there's a vulnerability. Vulnerability is in a very attractive state. And when you're pouring your heart open and you've ripped open your heart, or maybe even ripped open scabs, and you're bearing your soul with someone, there's a bond that forms. You can call it trauma bonding, but there's other forms of bonding. And then if there's chemistry, it's such an easy, natural thing to fall into of like, oh, just now we're making love. Now we're and then and you can get lost in that. And then through that, I mean, and I'm as guilty of this as anyone. The next thing I know, I'm in a relationship with somebody that I should have just been friends with. So for me, I've had to learn over time to really, and what that really comes down to through self evaluation is just me compromising my own boundaries, or sometimes forgetting that there was a boundary there for me of we're just friends. And
I'm sorry, I was going to ask you. So, how do you make that distinction in your thought process? How do you make that distinction of this person I should just be friends with, even though there's chemistry and attraction, versus this person maybe there's something more? Because sometimes the best relationships actually start in friendship too. So that's where I think it could get very tricky.
it is. And I don't think it's a perfect science because, I mean, in the end, in a relationship, for it to be a long term healthy relationship, there needs to be a foundation of friendship there. I believe that with all my heart because without that foundation, it just turns into something sexual and that becomes the main focus. And well, those sexual relationships can be fun, but that's also some of the most traumatizing relationships. So for me, instead of focusing so much on the other person and setting those walls, it's really for myself. Like I create my own boundaries with myself. And what it comes down to, it's just like with technology or anything else, we have to have some personal responsibility.